Welcome in to another Civilization 6 review video. Today, what I'd like to do is take you through my game playing as the Korean civilization. I played a game as Korea. Now, this is a little bit different than what I've shown before. This game that I played was actually an online speed game that I played multiplayer with Icarus, one of my good friends, and we're playing against a whole bunch of, I think, Emperor difficulty AI, but against each other as well, and we each picked a victory condition to go for. I was Korea. Naturally, I was going for science. He was playing France and going for a culture victory. So that ended up creating some cool dynamics and some fun stuff that we'll talk about towards the end. But what I really want to do is just walk through the Korean Civ and talk about why, A, they're so powerful, B, they get banned in almost everything because they're so powerful, and C, why they're a really good learning civilization. And I think it honestly, even as kind of a relatively seasoned now Civ player, I learned to get back to the basics a little bit and remind myself of some of the things that I should be doing probably in every game that Korea really dictates that you do in every game. So those are the things I want to cover today in this Korea video. So let's jump in to the game. And this is, again, a finished game. So I was able to pull off a turn 139 victory with Korea. Again, this is on online speed in a multiplayer type format. Conveniently, if we zoom way far out, you'll see Icarus, who was the other human player in the game, was on a different continent than me. And so we were able to kind of create a pretty peaceful game between the two of us, him going for culture and me going for science. I actually just staved off a culture win from him at the very end. He made a late charge, and the only thing that saved me is I took my builders around and put my ski parks in everywhere to get me some tourists and allow me to kind of fight against that a little bit. So here is my Korean Empire. It's not too big, right? I want to say, let's take a look at our reports really quick just to see how many cities I had by the end. 14 cities. So not bad. 14 cities. Got the job done. Why? Because every city has a Seiwon in it. And that is one of the things that makes Korea easy to play and easy to learn, is because essentially if you're going for a science victory with Korea, you really just want to put a Seiwon in the optimum location for a Seiwon in each of your cities. So let's take a look at Korea really quick and just walk through some of the details for Korea and what makes them such a not only a good civ to play, but a fun civ to play. So, governors established in a city provide plus 3% culture and science for each promotion they have earned, including their first. So, anything that will get you governor titles ends up being really useful for Korea. Put them in your biggest cities, right, is typically what you want to do. I didn't get any really huge cities this particular time. But because it's a percent based, you want to try to grab the biggest numbers that you can, and so throw them into your highest percentage based cities, so you're getting good yields out of that with your governors. Again, it doesn't in that regard, it doesn't particularly matter the number of promotions that they have, as long as they're in a city and you're spreading those promotions out however you need to. Get them into high pop cities, yield the science and culture of those particular bonuses that the Korean Civ has. All right, so Three Kingdoms ties down into Seiwon. I know my fat head is in the way of the Seiwon text, so I will read it. Seiwon, a district unique to Korea for scientific endeavors, replaces the campus district plus 4 science. That's just base. Plus 4 science. Minus 1 science for every adjacent district tile. Must be built on hills. So, at face value, you might look at that and say, plus 4 science. That's good. It's not great, because you can find other campus sites that normally might get you a lot more value, right? I've got right here, we've got some mountain adjacency plus a geothermal, like that could have been like a nice spot. We've got some reefs over here. Like there are areas on this map where, as I was playing, I was like, oh man, if I wasn't playing Korea, we could get some, plus 5, plus 6, whatever campuses, right? Like we could get some pretty high base value campuses in different locations here. But all of Korea's Seiwons are plus 4. That's just what they are. Unless you don't build them right and you build them next to a district, because they don't get other bonuses, right? They don't get the bonuses from mountains. They don't get the bonuses from reefs. They don't get the bonuses from geothermals. So they're just plus 4. and they have to be built on hills. So hills are something you want to look for, obviously, with Korea. So here is our first Sewon from our capital. It's on a hill, and you can see it's also surrounded by other buildings. And that reason is why I think Korea becomes one of those, like, get back to basics civs, is because of 3 kingdoms. Mines receive +1 science for every adjacent Sewon district. Farms receive +1 food for every adjacent Sewon district. So, you can see, as you start to put down your tile improvements, all of a sudden you've got science from mines that you're probably working, which I am, because it's my capital. I'm working most of the tiles in it. All of a sudden you've got a lot of food coming out of your farms. And if you happen to be able to get a mine or farm in between 2 Sewons, now you're boosting it up even further and getting some really good numbers out of it. The reason why I think that Korea creates an optimum learning experience for players is because it allows you to build your district just very simply. You build your campus district, your Sewon, and then you improve tiles. And I think that's one of the larger mistakes that I know I have made in the past and that I've seen other players make is you get caught up in building wonders or recruiting an army or building infrastructure or doing other things, working on getting more culture in your theater squares, whatever it might be, and you neglect the fact that you've got 13 people, for example, living in your city that are working tiles. And if they're working tiles that are not improved for an extended period of time, you're costing yourself yields, and that just compounds over time because now turn over turn, you're costing yourself those yields every time you haven't improved that tile. And so what I like about Korea is because the Sewons encourage you to build around them and make sure those tiles are improved with mines and with farms, you are always looking to do that. And so you end up with improved tiles all across your land, which creates really great yields for you and allows you to do cool things. This particular map, I had so many hills, it was incredible. So you can see we built some wonders. One of them that really helped us was Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu, because we were going science, but we didn't need the mountains for our Sewons, right? We didn't need the mountains for our campuses. So we built Machu Picchu, and then we were able to do things like this. We put in this industrial zone, a +18 industrial zone. We put in this industrial zone over here. This one's only a 10, and look at these guys over here. This industrial zone is a +12 industrial zone just sitting in the middle of mountains because of Machu Picchu. So those are the things that you can do because you have spots available for you, right? Normally you'd be taking those up with a holy site, with a campus, and instead, if you can get Machu Picchu, you can start putting, if you're going for science victory, put your industrial zones in those places, and you're going to get really great yields. Here you can see we built Casa. Casa, of course, gives you 3 governor titles. That became very important for us, obviously, as we were looking at that 3% bonus that we get to culture and science from governor titles. Obviously, that's 3% times 3. What is that, 9%? That's 9% right there just from building a wonder across our empire that we were bouncing in those particular cities, right? We were jumping up our culture and science by that much. Worked out pretty well for me. So we ended up in our capital, which is where we were doing the majority of our projects, 177.9 industry by turn 139 in online speed on a multiplayer game. Pretty slick, right? In this city, so this is kind of a funny story and a lesson to be learned. In this city, we built Ruhr Valley. Now, it was an excellent build at the time. There are hills everywhere in this city. You can see every tile that is being worked is a hill, and it is just a glorious city. It has 133.8 production with only 10 people in it. And it's just cruising, right? Now here comes the problem. When you go to put your spaceports down, you do indeed have to have flat tiles, as you all probably know, to put your spaceports down. This city, where I happened to build Ruhr, there were no... Maybe Ruhr is on a hill as well. There are zero in the range of this city, the full 3-tier range. There is not a single flat tile that I could have put it on. I looked through the whole thing, and there was not a single flat tile. So this city, it was actually impossible to build a spaceport on, which was unfortunate because it also was my Ruhr city, which would have obviously increased a lot of our production towards some of our space race stuff. But it's fine. We were able to use it for other things, but something to keep in mind, especially if you're playing somebody like Korea and you're looking for lots of hills when you're making your settles. Sometimes there are so many hills, it could actually be detrimental to you. That was my lesson learned. But I think, again, the fun thing that I was able to do and learn with Korea was improve your tiles. Get builders, make sure you're optimizing, especially tiles you're working. Look, if you're not working the tile and you're not going to be working the tile for a little while, then it's not worth improving, right? Because you're not actually getting anything from it. But if you're playing your Civ game and you're looking at your cities and you're seeing tiles that are unimproved, like these ones down here, unimproved tiles that you're working, now you can see we're not working those tiles, so it doesn't make much sense to improve them. But as you're looking through these cities, you'll notice all the tiles that we're working, we are improved for the most part. Korea really, because of the Sewon, it enhances and feeds your ability to want to do that. And so that was a helpful reminder to me in my future games as I'm playing. Like, make sure that you're using your builders appropriately. Make sure that you're getting those improvements on the tiles that you're working. Obviously, another thing that's very helpful for Science Victory is Amundsen Scott. We were able to come right up here and be able to settle a city and pop out an Amundsen Scott building as well. We also started generating a lot of power in different locations, so we started trying to put down different power generating buildings so that we could maintain power. We were launching our exoplanet expedition and all of those things. So there's a lot of opportunity to do cool things with Korea. I do think that it helped me get back to basics, which was really fun, and I can definitely see why. Again, they're really powerful. The +4 Sewon, if you're putting that in every city and then buffing that up with all of the buildings that go into a campus district, you're ending up with a ton of science. Look at our science per turn. 1,721.2 is our ending science per turn. We're cruising. I mean, if you look at every other player, including the other human player, which again, like, he was going for culture, but like, we're more than double the science of the next best player in the game. And we're not getting like crazy value. We're just getting that +4 base, like, you know, bonus in every one of our Sewons. Plus then obviously you get your mines out and you start working all those little 1 to 2 sciences, and all of a sudden you've got huge science scores. So I like that about Korea. I could see why they get banned a lot in different gameplay settings, especially in multiplayer, because it's like an easy way to play, and there's not like you're gonna have so many Sewons out there, it's gonna be hard to counter that quick science growth. And I really like that they encourage you to get back to basics. I really like, if you're just learning Civ for the first time, I think that playing Korea is a really good idea. They have like good bonuses, but they're bonuses that are easy to understand and grasp. And because the Sewons get you to improve those tiles, it teaches you the basics of the game in that get builders, improve tiles. It's going to be good for your yields. And so I think that those are kind of my takeaways from playing Korea. It does, if you're a more advanced Civ player, become a little bit boring. Like, it's a little bit like, once you've done it, you've kind of done it. You put down a couple cities, you get your Sewons built, and then you're kind of just doing the same thing. It was fun to play against some lower level AI because we were able to get some more fun wonders built that allowed us to do different things. Like, getting Machu Picchu in this game really helped spice up the game for me because I had some unique set bonuses I was able to do. I mean, like, look at this. I didn't even put it down, but I have a +8 theater square because of the mountains and a couple of the wonders I built that we could have put down at some point, right? So anyway, that is my review of Korea as a Civ. I really enjoyed playing them. I think that there's some really cool things that it can remind even seasoned Civ players. Like, oh yeah, I gotta make sure I do that in my games. Maybe you're much better than me and you always remember to do those things. But it helped me get back to basics and remember that those are the things I should be doing. It reminded me a little bit of what I played the Maya, because the Maya have a very similar thing where you want to surround your observatories with farms, and it encourages you to improve the tiles and always stay on top of that. So I do think that was a fun aspect of playing them and helped remind me to do what I need to do. If you liked the content, please feel free to subscribe to the channel or hit the thumbs up button. More content upcoming for both Civilization and Humankind on the channel. I know we've been kind of going back and forth with some other things, but I'm going to get back to the Civ 6 content and the Humankind content from the kind of the 4X genre, and we'll keep plugging away with that. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it.